Deleted session, February 9, 1981. Good evening. Now, Ruber for a while should write his own impressions of encounters, such as this evening's or such as the visit of the two girls. Through writing such notes and exploring his feelings, his own attitudes will come more clearly to mind. In any case, he should begin again writing about his feelings. He is in a way a different kind of psychologist, examining the nature of psychological reality from different viewpoints. He did not simply accept mediumship at its face value, so to speak. Most people, generally speaking, have one more or less familiar notion of a self that they try to actualize within physical reality. They do not have visions or experience, again, generally speaking, with any characteristics that cannot be actualized more or less within the framework of established experience. They try to actualize that self within the known world. Ruber uses abilities that do not fit that non-world categories, abilities that by their nature straddle many dimensions of activity, none of them normally conventional, normally established, none of them easily defined. As a physical person, Ruber can only actualize himself through the properties of his creaturehood. Yet he is aware of those other tantalizing activities. He encounters the invisible organization of my books, say the effect of those books upon others. He recognizes the vast complexity that lies behind our relationship, and therefore is ever aware of psychological issues encountered by few other people, relatively speaking. His relationship with me and mine with him is bound to be interpreted in multitudinous ways by our readership, the public, and so forth. To some extent, there can be a feeling of inferiority on his part, on that he does of course not deserve. He focuses in the world and I do not. A good portion of my abilities, knowledge, and so forth is available to me because I am not focused within your world. My abilities are put together in a different fashion. I have a certain freedom by nature that is traded in by mortal people in return for life's brilliant focus. Ruber is not responsible for other people's conceptions of who or what I am, or who or what he is. They will make such interpretations on the basis of their own development and understanding, interpreting it through their own systems of value. He is dealing with still largely unknown phenomena, so that he has, of course, no pat answers to fall back upon. I will return to this subject later. What it means in the context of tonight's discussion is that he feels there is no established framework that he will accept to explain our relationship in, say, the public arena outside of the books, which allow him to make considered statements and provide room for reasoned thought. Public interviews involve him, therefore, in far more than the selling of books, you see, connected with the tours of people who are merely writers. To that degree, he feels at a certain disadvantage. If he simply did not want to make any public statements outside of the books themselves, there would be no problems there. He simply would refuse. If he were poorly equipped to speak in public, there would be no problem. He found out, however, that he could speak well. The trouble is that he tries to live up to an idealized image. The image, in a way, is a potpourri, picked up from his readers, even other books, the culture in general. He thinks that ideally he should want to be a public person, to give and enjoy giving interviews to the press or television, that he should carry our message out into the world, have sessions on television so that people can see how I operate. If he were not frightened, it seems to him that is what he would and should do. He also feels he should be able to display at least enough healing ability to help those in dire straits. And he expects himself to display such a deep understanding and compassion for the world and its people that any divergence from such an attitude seems to make him appear more inferior by contrast. In that regard, tell him that my own fine-tempered consideration of man's foibles is somewhat easier to come by. Since I do not deal with them daily, he feels pressured, therefore, to become a public person, forgetting his own background and temperament. He thinks that background and temperament should no longer apply. That is, if once he disliked crowds, a new purpose and understanding should let him rise above such nonsense. But there has always been a kind of singularity there, a characteristic need to go his own way. This does not mean that he has no need for expression. Small groups are one thing, large ones something else. The private contact was the home, when you had classes. He likes encounters with other people, naturally, but he does not like crowds nor speaking to a kind of mass mind, directly encountered. He felt that he was supposed to be a different kind of person than he is. We will deal with some of these under the heading of responsibility later. In all probability, however, someone who was that publicly attuned would not be able to have our own kind of sessions to begin with, for the mixture of abilities would be of a different sort. Rupert should do some small amount of writing each day, for his own pleasure and expression. It is disconnected from ideas of publishing, though later it may be published. The responsibility for each person's life lies with that person. That is one of our main messages. The books offer their own continuing educational process for people to follow if they choose, and the process of self-discovery is one of the most valuable aspects of such growth. So Rupert is not to be taken in by people who come here or write, expecting him to solve their problems in the flesh, or expecting me to do it, nor is he obligated to answer mail. A note: Rupert's discomfort is indeed aggravated by fears. This I mentioned in particular some time ago. He feels he is facing the nitty-gritty, determined for a way out, yet still at times he is afraid the worst possibilities will occur instead. And he is suspicious of changes in the body unless they are of obvious improvements. You have been of considerable help, assuring him that he is indeed protected, and he has been making strides there himself. He tried too hard at times, however, so that again he concentrates upon the problem in an attempt to solve it, which aggravates the fears. Motions are being restored in terms of circulation and activity. Joints, ligaments, nerves, and muscles all being involved. Even a very brief massage on your part in the night when he is bothered will help. Your reassurances then are also invaluable. Moist heat will also help as an aid, but mainly the entire idea of the body's good intent and support. The writing down of feelings and some of free writing will also benefit along with the discussions of feelings you have embarked upon. A lighter hand However, on Rupert's part, we are not looking for reigns of negative feelings in particular, but for the honest expression of feelings, whatever they are. End of session, and I bid you a fond good evening. He should feel quite a bit better shortly. Ralph said, I hope so. Good night.